Have you been listening to this show for a while? Do you like this show? Do you want to see it continue? There's one way you can do that. You can actually visit our Patreon page and donate some money to make sure the show continues. That's the only way we fund the show, the only way we make it happen. Go to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Find out bonus stuff you can get for supporting us and make sure the show keeps on trucking. You need a little crunch of humility as well.
That's what you need. You need a little bit of humility in every bite. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Do it. For once, just go ahead and say it.
For once on this podcast, I'm going to speak my mind.
Thank God.
Mark Nuffer, you're getting damn close to a nickname.
Oh, Nuffer.
Oh.
You know what we should call him?
Nuffer Butter?
Fluffer
Nuffer? Fluffer Nuffer?
He's probably never heard that before.
Oh, he probably loves it.
It's
probably his favorite.
He probably stopped listening.
Here's the problem, Jeff. That nickname is good and also connected to him, and therefore it cannot be a nickname that I bestow upon him.
You have to come up with something that doesn't make any sense and is easily forgettable.
I have to come up with a garbage nickname.
Right.
So, it's coming. I feel like it's coming. There, I said it. And if you want a nickname, a garbage nickname, the worst kind of nickname.
Yeah.
Just submit a story. If we use enough of your stories, you get a nickname.
You get that garbage nickname that you'll probably not really care for.
Yeah, you can submit it to wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com. You can put them on our Facebook page. You can put them in our subreddit. This one was on our Facebook page. It's about burbs.
Burbs?
Love a good burb.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in a burb. I'm from a burb.
I'm trying to do the cute internet pronunciation of bird.
Oh, burb pranks.
Yeah. Like a burb prank.
Yeah.
Not like the Shelley Long, Tom Hanks movie, Kids Ask Your Parents. No, Shelley Long, Tom Hanks was the Money Pit.
Yeah.
Who was his wife in the Burbs?
That's a great question.
No one knows.
I don't even remember.
That movie is 78 years old.
I've seen it once. He also has a neighbor who is scary, but I can't remember who played that. It is definitely a Tom Hanks movie. It was in the dark Tom Hanks period where he was like not a star. He was making crap.
He was making a lot of crap. It was right around, I want to say Bachelor Party.
No, that's just one of his first movies.
Yeah.
It was like Bonfire of the Vanities era.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bonfire of the Vanities was supposed to be good.
I know, and it tanked his whole career for a while.
This is welcome to our podcast for old people.
Whatever happened to that Tom Hanks?
Called How Old is Tom Hanks Now? The answer is very old. This is a story about birds. What's been happening is in Florida, there has been an invasive species in the Everglades.
Called?
It is called a snail.
What?
Yep.
Just regular old snails?
Just these snails.
They're not invasive. They're slow.
It's small apple snails is what they're called.
Small apple snails?
Small apple snails.
Because they eat small apples or because they look like a small apple?
Because they eat these adorable, tiny apples.
That only exist in Florida.
Imagine a snail, and then imagine a very small snail-sized apple.
Is that a cherry? No, sir.
No.
That's a tiny apple.
I could see where you would be confused. But my friend, look closer. And then as you do, you see that this snail is eating a very tiny apple. Sometimes it's even shining it on its little snail lapel.
Oh.
Like so.
And you know what they say? A tiny apple a day keeps the tiny dentist away.
There is a type of bird called a snail kite.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. You like that, right?
That is awesome.
Yeah, just the name.
Snail kite.
Snail kites.
I once had a snail kite and all the other kids made fun of me because they had cool Transformers
Well, it was a very
kites.
tiny kite. And to see an average sized boy with a very tiny kite,
it still flies.
Hilarious.
Hey, chums, take a look at my tiny kite. It still flies.
That is too small for you, you dummy.
No, look.
What is that? What is that, a kite for snails?
Yes, it's a snail kite.
Oh, no.
I'm using this floss.
Slimes Canado with his snail kite.
Holding onto this floss, and now it's flittering ever so closely in the air.
Hey, Kanata, get rid of your Dickensian orphan accent and get a real kite. And so you did.
And so I did.
But you know what?
That's my origin story.
You fit in a lot more now, but is a part of you dead forever?
Yeah, the part that does the Dickensian accents.
No, that part's alive and well. You went right to it.
Only in that flashback.
Only in the flash. We were both seeing a shared memory projected through the orb that we keep in this room. So here's what's up. The North American snail kite is a bird that uses curved beaks and long claws to dine on apple snails in the Florida Everglades.
Oh, a snail kite? That's like if you were called
I'm an ice cream kite.
You're a TIE fighter.
I fly. You're a TIE fighter, and so I eat Thai food.
That's right.
Oh, I am kind of a TIE fighter. That's a very good nickname. The population has been dwindling in Florida for years, from 3,500 in the year 2000 to just 700 snail kites in the year 2007.
That's not enough snail kites.
It's not enough snail kites. The Everglades, you've probably read stories about it before. It's a very, very specific and dependent ecosystem, and it was very closed off. But development, tourism, all this stuff, were really kind of destroying the wetlands. And so it's been causing a lot of problems. In 2004, a portion of the Everglades was invaded by a species of larger snail. Now, we know that they eat small apple snails.
Uh-oh.
These are larger snails.
These are like regular apple size.
These are regular apple. If you put this snail down next to an apple and you turned away to answer a phone, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to pick up my apple, you might end up with a mouthful of snail.
Oh.
They're exactly the same size. You could get them confused.
That's how escargot got invented.
That's how it got invented.
Yep.
Somebody was reaching for a delicious apple, and they got a bite of a snail, and then all of French cuisine just
and their
toppled.
friend walked in and was like, why did you eat that snail? And he went, I meant to. It's escargot.
Yeah, it was not a mistake or anything.
No.
Shut up.
I hate you.
Jeff Kanata, why are you using this accent?
You told me I could no longer be a Dickensian boy.
It started getting more and more Italian. That's what happens. We have to stop doing the French after like 2 or 3 exchanges because it just goes to like, hey, Pepe.
Pretty soon it's like, it's me.
It's
a
me.
French guy.
Hello, it's me. Macron. So these larger snails started invading, and these birds were struggling to eat it because they're only made to eat small apple snails. Once again, very adorable.
They couldn't just share one larger snail?
I don't know if that's how snail work. It's hard to share a snail because of the crunchy outsides.
I guess.
Because they take their hooked beaks, they go down, they pick up a snail down their gullet. And
well, maybe they should slow the fucking roll for a second and just like take a moment and think about it.
You can't ask a bird to chew its food 20 times before it swallows.
Well, I'm sure he's got friends that could enjoy some large snail with it. Maybe it's it's kind of a shared meal we can have.
It's not like
Be a cool
tapas.
guy.
It's not like tapas for birds. It's like one bird, one snail. That's the way it goes.
It's God's way.
It's God. That's the way God made it.
One bird.
We
one
have
snail.
concerns. Science podcast. This is the way God made it. Because the population was dropping so precipitously already, scientists were like, this is it. This is the end of the snail kite. There's no way this is going to happen. They're dying.
Oh, no.
Here's what's up. Snail kites live about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, by the year 2007, the population of snail kites had actually stabilized and started going up. Scientists were like, what the fuck is happening here? The answer, Jeff.
Thanks, Obama.
Barack Obama.
By 2008, Barack Obama had taken office and saved the snail kites.
The snail kites, he said the snail kites are the #1 priority of this nation. And I'm going to save these snail kites. And you remember, we elected him on a wave of positive snail kite energy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we can save the snail kites, he said.
The Shepherd Ferry posters of snail kites.
Oh, yeah.
Swallowing entire snails whole. It was an inspiration.
It was beautiful.
For those beautiful 8 years, we changed the official bird of the United States to the snail kite. Now you don't hear about snail kites anymore.
Trump
Not in Trump's America.
He undid all those executive orders, re-snail.
Making the entire government work on the snail kite problem and nothing else. Literally nothing else.
You know what?
History
will be the judge.
Yeah, history will be the judge.
And you know what they say? History is written by the snail kites.
That's what they say. And it's true. And that's why they say it. No, here's what happened. Rapid evolution.
What?
Rapid evolution, Jeff. Within 2 generations, snail kites have evolved exceedingly larger and more curved beaks than they had just 2 generations before.
We need those bigger snails. We need to eat those bigger snails.
Natural selection worked within 2 generations.
Now, listen, I'm no evolutionary biologist, or at least not anymore.
Not anymore.
But
some would say you never were.
some would say that, but those guys can't prove it. I did evolutionary biology in my spare time.
That's right. And they're evolutionary biologists, not licensed private detectives, so back off.
Exactly. But I will say this. Everything I know about the way that's supposed to work, evolution, it means that shouldn't happen,
Yeah.
right?
Slow,
we shouldn't be
over
able
time.
to do that. Not just slow over time, but glacially slow
Yeah,
over many generations.
We're talking about
And
100 generations.
Because it's natural selection. It's not fucking like, hey, I just invented a new way to eat the snail and dad couldn't do it. And now I can. It's literally whole species have to start dying out for this random mutation to actually have a thread of life over many generations.
That's right.
So why? So this can't be rapid evolution because that's not a thing.
So Robert Fletcher Jr., who is the ecologist of the University of Florida, who authored the study.
And weirdly, very different from his father.
Yeah, so different. His father was more of like a rock and roll evolutionary biologist, really
Yeah.
like bucking the system,
like
bucking
there's-
trends.
It's like he had rapid evolution himself.
It's like if Robert Fletcher... Robert Fletcher Jr. says, we often assume these large-bodied animals can't keep up with changes to the system because their generation times are too big. And yet, we are seeing this incredibly rapid change in the beak size of this bird. They analyzed 11 years of morphological data that they collected on these birds, and that time period is fewer than 2 generations. But the researchers found that beak and body sizes had grown substantially, 8 to 12%. In the years since the large snail invasion.
How the fuck do they explain this? They got some explaining to do.
Here's what's up. They can't. They can't. They definitely say natural selection is playing a part. So young snail kites with larger bills were more likely to survive their first year than snail kites with smaller bills because the population was so small already. These birds with these desirable traits are mating more often because the population is already dropping.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So
young birds eating the invasive snails were also growing faster than birds that were weaned on the small ones, which means they also, because they're eating more, they're becoming healthier, and it may not be like a steady evolutionary change. They may just be like going into a malnourished community and properly feeding the children in that community causes them to be larger than their parents.
the social structure became, you can eat that big snail? Damn, you're sexy.
Damn, you sexy.
Damn, you eat that big snail?
Swallow that big snail. Let me see how you swallow that big snail. This is weird. already.
Damn, you sexy.
So
I want
weird.
that. I mean, that's really what happened. It became sexually desirable to be able to down the big snail because you are not
Hey, down the big snail.
down that big snail because you're not going to die off. Because if you can only eat small snails, you're probably malnourished and unsexually desirable.
Unable to compete for a mate, unable to find a mate, unable to hunt for food. So it's causing this rapid evolution. So 13 years after the larger snails invaded, the population of the birds has nearly tripled to over 2,000. It's been a major development for the recovery of the species. So this is crazy because we tend to think invasive species comes in, shit goes down, animals die, we have to curb the invasive species. This is actually part of the reason we got into so much trouble with invasive species is because we initially thought, hey, we got too much of a predator going on in this environment. We bring in the invasive species, it kills off the predator.
Right.
Right? We think of invasive species as being incredibly destructive. This is a helpful invasive species. This species is going to save the snail kite. What does that mean about invasive species?
Maybe we shouldn't call them invasive anymore. Maybe invited species is better.
Maybe
helpful species.
Maybe misjudged.
Yeah.
Maybe a misunderstood species.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be thanking all of the invasive species. No, that is not true. But it does mean that animals that are squaring off against invasive species, animals that we think like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do, they're lost. This does mean that, hey, sometimes they gold bloom. They find a way.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Must go faster. I still am very skeptical about this whole concept of rapid evolution. It seems so wildly improbable, and the compressed time is so dramatic. Like, how is 2 generations enough for this to take effect and have actual palpable results?
Now, for things like the beak size, well, actually, a lot of this, the beak size and the size of the bird, they're calling it rapid evolution, but it seems to me that it's also just making better use of the environment, causing a physiological change. It's like I said, if you bring in healthy food to an undernourished community, the children all of a sudden just get larger and healthier than their parents.
Right.
Oh, this kid is 6 inches taller than I was, even though there's nothing but short people in my family. How did that happen? Well, you came from a malnourished, underserved community, and now that your kid is healthier, your kid can get taller and healthier and bigger. So some of it, I'm sure, is evolution, but some of it is just like the natural adaptation of a living thing's body.
Right.
It's getting the proper nutrients now. I'd be interested to see how much of that there is going on.
So now we can go back to hunting snail kites?
Oh, God, yeah.
Thank God.
Listen, me and my boys.
Yeah.
And I've got to prioritize the boys.
Prioritize those boys.
I try to. Once a year, we don't get to see each other very often, but we get together every year to hunt snail kites in the Everglades.
It's a tradition.
I grew up in Florida. All I know is hunting snail kites in the Everglades on airboats.
Beautiful.
It's
a beautiful time.
And sure, I've moved away. I've found more diverse interests, but when I go back to Florida, I'm just a good old Florida boy.
You know what that is? That's you prioritizing the boys.
I'm just trying to prioritize these boys over these boys.
Prioritize the boys with the boys.
Hey, armchair scientists. What do you think is going on here? Is rapid evolution the right term for this?
And if so, can we exploit it to our gain?
Yeah, how do I get a superpower? Let me know.
I want 2 generations to have a bigger beak.
Yeah, I want the biggest beaks in all the world, baby. Give my kids those beaks. Let us know what you think about this on Twitter. I'm at A.Carboni.
I'm at Jeff Canada.
You can also discuss this in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/wehaveconcerns. And hey, you walking around naked in public? Don't do that.
Don't do that. Most people frown on it. In certain cultures, it's fine.
Yeah.
And okay if you're there.
Hey, but if you're in one of those cultures, do you.
You got to do you. But chances are you're in a climate that isn't conducive to nudity.
So, how do you solve the problem?
You got to put something on.
How do you do that?
You got to get something to put on.
Where is the only place in the world to get clothing?
The place that we have to sell you clothing.
That's wehaveconcerns.com/store. That's the only place to buy clothes. Yeah. You'll get arrested.
That's right. Don't get arrested. Buy our clothes.